Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome to another one of our virtual open iftars in Ramadan 2021. And I'd just like to thank you for joining us today. My name is Hassan, and I have the honor of being your host for this evening. We have an exciting event planned this evening, especially for any QPR fans. We've got Brother Ilyas Chair, Brother Faisal Batash, and Dr. Imtiaz Ahmed, Andy Evans, and Charlotte Edwards from the QPR Community Trust. But before we get started, I would first like to thank our media partners for this year. That's the Islam Channel, and give a special welcome to those joining us from Islam Channel's Facebook and YouTube pages. It is a pleasure to have you all with us today. I also wanted to express our thanks to the Arts Council UK, whose help has allowed us to continue our great work this Ramadan, all of which is available on our website. Our work this Ramadan is supported by our charity partners, Islamic Relief. You can check out all the incredible work that Islamic Relief does at iruk.co/RTP. Now, our virtual open iftars are meant to be interactive, so I'd like to encourage everyone to hop onto the Zoom meeting if you can. And for those of you who are comfortable, please do turn on your cameras so we can see you rather than just seeing a dark grey tile with your name on. On behalf of the speakers, it's a lot better for us to actually see who our audience is and how you're reacting to us. So just before we begin, I'll just run through the tech. I'm sure everyone's used to this and had the experience of multiple Zoom meetings by now. But for anyone that doesn't know, what you'll find is we've got a chat function, and I can see that Joanna and Rehan and Shabana have already used it. So that's on the right hand side, and if you click on chat, you can open up the chat function. So feel free to communicate in there. Also, if you have any questions for our speakers or even myself, please feel free to drop them in there, and we'll get someone to pick that up. Also, you'll notice we've got the reactions button. So if you're on a laptop, it will just say reaction. And if you're on mobile, there should be 3 dots somewhere and you'll be able to see a reaction. I can see Shabana's always jumped the gun and Rehan just basically showing that you guys are experts, and I probably didn't have to run you through sort of how to use Zoom. But for anyone that doesn't know, this is just a way to almost show Jazakallah, brother Ilyas is also showing his appreciation. This is just for anyone to show our speakers while they're speaking, their appreciation, or if they want to get our attention, then we can do that. There's also a raised hand option as well. So if you do want to get our attention, maybe want to ask a question, feel free to use that option as well. So in terms of the agenda today, we'll have a quick sort of interactive session, just as an icebreaker, just to catch up with some of our guests and see how they're feeling. And then what we'll do is we'll move on to almost like a Q&A with some of our speakers for tonight, and just about their experiences on today's topic about being a sports person in the month of Ramadan. And then once that's over, we'll hand over to, we'll have a slot for questions and answers. This is for obviously any of our guests this evening to basically pose any questions to our speakers, and then once that session's over, inshallah, what we'll do is we'll head over to the stadium itself to join Charlotte and Andy, who are waiting patiently. Thanks for the wave, Andy. And then we'll have inshallah, we'll have a live adhan to signal the end of the fast. So that's pretty much how we plan to go this evening. So we'll start with Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Firstly, I'd just like to ask anyone that's joining, could they maybe drop a message just in terms of like how their fast has gone today, and also maybe how their where they're joining from, and how are they staying active this Ramadan, if that would be okay, and maybe we'll interview someone or get someone to speak about just sharing that experience. So Shabana's joining from London. Could we? Who else have we got? Any more? Rehan's from London too. Oh, okay. So it's a very Shireen's from West London. Oh, amazing. Shireen, are you a QPR fan by any chance, or am I being too optimistic?
Sorry, no.
Oh, good. There you go. Okay, no worries.
Apologies.
That's fine. That's fine. I'm not offended. I'm not a QPR fan either. But obviously, for our guests, I think it would have been amazing if there was a QPR fan, because I'm like, if there was a iftar, like a dream iftar, maybe this would be. We've got about six or seven representatives from QPR. I mean, other than having the whole squad, I don't think you're going to get any better than that.
I have lots of friends who are QPR fans, so yeah.
Oh, amazing. Well, I don't know why you didn't invite them to this session. I mean, like, that's definitely like you definitely lost out on brownie point. Seeing as we've got you on the line, Shireen, would you how's your fast gone today? Could you share it with us?
Yeah, it's gone well, alhamdulillah. I work from home at the moment, so kind of figured out when I get the most tired and sort of schedule my work around that. So it'll be interesting to hear how a footballer schedules their day when they're fasting today.
Amazing. And is there anything that you're, I suppose, like, do you stay active during Ramadan, outside Ramadan? Does Ramadan change how you go about your day?
Honestly, I've kind of given up on exercise during Ramadan. I'm going to go back to it afterwards, hopefully. But yeah, I can't be doing that at the moment.
Okay, that's it's sad to hear. Like, I can see Hawazin has also dropped in the chat. She also says, I wish I can run. I didn't try. She hasn't tried. She hasn't had the courage to try. And Shabana also says that she's not running. She does know, like, but we can see Rehan is mentioning that he's doing his morning walks. I personally, like, I haven't, alhamdulillah, like, I haven't given up. I found personally, I find Ramadan like gives me a lot of strength mentally to keep training, and I've alhamdulillah, like, I have this thing where I managed to set personal bests during Ramadan, because for me it just gives me that mental fortitude to keep going. But I think like for all of us anyway, like even training, like training is also a form of worship. Training is also a form of ibadat. Our bodies are given to us as an amana, and we have to return them. So, like, for me, it's also important that just because we're fasting, it doesn't mean that we can't train or we shouldn't do the right things. And like, hopefully, we've got a medical professional. We've got Dr. Imtiaz joining us today, and like, I hope he can give us a lot of practical advice and tips on just how to make sure how to make sure that we're maintaining our bodies and just doing. And I can see Hawadin is just asking me a question. Do you run just before iftar? And like, yeah, you've hit the nail on the head. I'm not crazy person that I'm going to run during the day and then like be fatigued for the rest of the day. I basically, you just be smart about when you pick and choose. A lot of runners actually also do straight after suhoor as well, because they have energy, they're fresh, they can do it, and it's also quite cold. And alhamdulillah, like this year we've you would have noticed that the weather has been like very, very cold compared to previous Ramadan. So actually, from a fatigue point of view, it means that obviously we don't get as tired. But no, I mean, it's refreshing to see that. Obviously, I think if you're not running, it doesn't mean that you have to run, but like, as long as we're staying active, we're staying fit and healthy, and obviously, like, in the midst of a pandemic, it's probably more important than ever before that we ensure that we say take those safeguards to try and stay fit and healthy, and I think you can, even in spite of observing the holy month of Ramadan, we can still find some time to perform this act of worship as well, inshallah. And thank you for agreeing with that, Shabana. So yeah, anyway, so I think it's probably a good point now to hand over to I will get our speakers involved in the next session. If we didn't really have an order, but I thought it might be good to start with Brother Ilyas first. Just before we begin, just a quick introduction. He joined QPR in January 2017 and is now one of the club's most prized assets, wearing the coveted number 10 shirt. Brother Ilyas has been a regular for the team this season and has scored 8 goals and provided 4 assists in all competitions. Brother Ilyas, how are you?
Very good. Thank you very much for having me here.
No, it's an honor to have you. Jazakallah khair. So I wanted to just I guess today's theme was all around, you know, being a sportsman or sports person in Ramadan. I actually wanted to, the first question I wanted to ask you was almost take it back to before you were a sports person. What was your experience of Ramadan before you were, you know, a professional athlete? And then I guess, could you share on like how it's changed now that you are obviously a professional footballer, and yeah, just sort of shed some light in terms of, like, you know, your personal experience of that.
So yeah, I turned professional when I was 16. So every year that I did Ramadan was during the football pre-season. But when I started when I was 14, I started Ramadan when I was 14 fully. And I remember I went to Morocco to do Ramadan with my grandparents. And in Morocco they have this thing, when it's Ramadan they take an hour back, so you don't have to fast all day. So you don't have to fast like everyone else. So yeah, before I was a football player, Ramadan was an enjoyable month, obviously because of the family coming together. I know now with the pandemic it's not possible, but before it was a very peaceful and very fun month for us as Muslims. And we look forward to this month as all of you guys as Muslims. I think we all are grateful that we can have another Ramadan in our life and in our lives. So hopefully we can make it to the next one. And it's still 2 weeks left. But yeah, Ramadan was always a good month for me. I always get in a good relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this month, and I'm very grateful for that. And hopefully I can live long enough to get another couple of Ramadans in.
Yeah, inshallah khair. Also, like, could you touch upon maybe like what how have you found being like you know, maybe is there anything different that you do in terms of like your preparation for matches, training, you know, in the holy month of Ramadan that you didn't, like, how would you go about preparing for Ramadan, being a sportsman? Is there any hints or tips you could give to anyone in you know, that is playing sports? You know, just how would you prepare yourself for the holy month?
I think it's more mentally that you need to prepare mentally, because obviously physically, you know, you're going to be without food and without drink all day. So it's more about the mental state of mind. And for me, to be honest, I don't really struggle with Ramadan. I know people that struggle with Ramadan, but for me personally, I don't. In preparation wise, honestly, it's all mental for me. And funny enough, I was spoken to the doctor this morning. Funny enough, my numbers, my running stats are above average during Ramadan. So it's special. That's all that I can tell you is special this month, and just have to be ready mentally for it.
That's amazing, because I've had similar experiences. I mean, what do you, if somebody had to ask you why, like, what is it about the month of Ramadan that is able to push you that little bit harder? What would you say that one thing would be?
I don't know. It's just like in me. I actually don't know. I get mentally stronger. I get physically stronger. Even my body recovers quicker. I don't know. It's for me. I think it's Allah, man. Honestly, subhanallah, is special. So it's nothing I can pinpoint to you what it is, but it's just yeah, special. I can't tell you why.
It's may we figure out that answer, inshallah.
Inshallah, yeah, honestly.
Also in terms of like maybe let's talk about with respect to matches, and obviously like the Saturdays are a big thing. How do you find taking part in matches? Obviously they can be quite intense, affairs, and obviously you start a lot of I think you've played something like over 40 games this season. How have you found the matches versus let's say training or anything else in your season?
Well, to be fair, I told the doc during Ramadan I will perform better than during the season, because I'm not thinking about my nutrition. I'm not thinking about, oh, I need to drink, I need to eat. It's just out there and go and play, and it's all mental. So when you are tired or something, it's just mentally. So Ramadan provides with that mental strength, and because you're without food, because you're not going to drink water, I think you get mentally very, very strong, and that's why you can endure so much during a game. It's intense, especially when it's hot. It's very, very difficult to perform at a high level. But I think with the strength of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we can cope with it.
Absolutely. Also, I wanted to touch a point like how have you find, obviously, like alhamdulillah, like you guys have Dr. Imtiaz as he's also a Muslim and also observing the holy month of Ramadan. Like how much of a benefit has that been, that you've got somebody that is also observing the holy month and understands maybe what you're going through, as in sort of to have that sort of support? Like how much of a difference do you think that makes versus maybe in a situation when you were maybe at a different club with maybe a doctor or maybe staff that don't understand the intricacies of observing the holy month?
No, it's been massive since day one. He's been helping us. He's been giving us advice what to do, because obviously he has more experience than us in that category. Because yeah, let's face it, me and Faisal are very young. I know we had a couple of Ramadans, but the doc has been around for a long, long time, and medically and physically he knows what comes to the table, and he's been brilliant with us. He's been giving us the right advice. Although sometimes I might not agree with everything, but I've listened to him, and it's been planned out perfectly for me at the moment. Alhamdulillah, and I can't say anything bad about it, and I'm very grateful that he's there for us and he helps us every single day.
Alhamdulillah. And also I'd just like to ask, what is like how do the maybe the people at the club, maybe the management and or the non-Muslims, how do they how do they treat you during the holy month? Like are they aware of the obviously that you guys are observing the fast, and do they make it like any special dispensations, or do you guys have do you have that support from those guys as well, to help you through the month?
Well, to be fair, everyone knows that that we are fasting, and everyone is acknowledging the fact that we are fasting. So there are some, obviously, with the players on the bus, they will not eat in front of us out of respect because we are fasting, and they will try not to drink in front of us. And me and Faz, obviously, we appreciate that. But I said in the beginning to the managers, to the manager, and to the staff as well, to the technical staff, I don't want to be an exception. I don't want to be treated different because I'm doing this Ramadan. I want to be treated like everyone else, how I was been treated before, and it's been brilliant so far, and I'm very grateful for everyone for understanding, and hopefully we can keep this on.
Alhamdulillah, such a great attitude to have, and I hope that whoever is listening to this can take inspiration, that brother Ilyas's attitude, just to obviously his approach to his career is just that he doesn't really want to be treated in a different way, but also in the same time it's also nice to hear that there is obviously that education and understanding, from the management. And I think, it's a great sign of respect, for them not to eat or share fast. So no, that's been amazing. Obviously, like I'd like to thank Brother Elias for all of his wisdom that he shared. May Allah can bless you and continue your career. May it keep growing, inshallah khair. I would probably now want to move on to Brother Faisal. If I can ask to unmute him and bring him into the conversation. Assalamu alaikum, Brother Faisal. How's your fast?
All good, thanks. And yours?
Yeah, alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah.
Thank you so much for joining, and hopefully
problem.
we can benefit from your experiences. Similarly to Brother Faisal, maybe tell us about your your experience of Ramadan. Like prior to being a professional athlete, and what are your memories?
I think, like Ilya said, mine was maybe when I was younger was all about going back home, Algeria, with my family and just spending my time there, doing the whole of Ramadan there, just seeing all the family getting together, seeing new things. It was just a family thing for me, to be honest. And then that's it. And then I think once football came, that's when it started to get maybe a bit harder. But then I think once you get used to it, the first like 3-4 days, I think after that I think it's easy personally.
And do you still find that time to reconnect? Because I like it sounds like Ramadan has an innate ability to bring everyone together, be it like your families, your community, your friends. Do you still, like, being obviously a professional athlete, your time is it's a lot harder to manage. Do you still find that you can take that time away and connect with those that are dear to you?
Yeah, it's all the time. You gotta do it. Like, I love spending time with my family. I think it's the one thing I love doing during Ramadan. Like we learn new stuff about each other, even if it's learning the Quran, whatever it is. It's just stuff like that. It's nice to be with your family, especially in this month.
Alhamdulillah. And what's what sort of what's your experience now that you are a professional athlete during the holy month? How do you find the like similar to the question that we asked Brother Elias, like how do you find preparation and the games? Like what is there any sort of thing special that you need to do in preparation before the month, or do you just like carry on as you were before?
But like Ilya said, I think it's just all a mental thing. I think when you're on the pitch training, I think you just got to push through it at the end of the day. I think training is only like an hour and 30. I think once you push through that training session, I think you'll be fine. And at the end of the day, like I said, I think you got Allah by your side. Like, he's going to push you through anything that comes through. So I think you just got to believe in yourself and just push through.
And is there anything, like, is there any advice or anything you would maybe tell anyone? I know you've been at the club since the age of 13, so it's like, yeah, I think alhamdulillah you're 20 now, and you've had 7 years, so it's obviously grew up around the area. Is there anything maybe some advice that you'd give to let's say anybody that was is playing sports and doing things, just how to go about how to go about continuing that activity in the holy month?
I think you just got to believe that Allah's got you and He's going to push you through. I think if you think that no, I'm fasting, I'm not going to be able to do it as much, I think it's just an excuse in a way. I think you got to believe in your ability, believe that you can push through this, and just carry on, to be honest.
No, Jazakallah. I think that makes a lot of sense. What's been like in terms of like what about support? What supports do you get in terms of like from your family? Be it like we have Dr. Imtiaz there. Like like how important are they in terms of like your career? Like how significant of a role do they play during the holy month, outside the holy month? Is there anything you could sort of put a finger on and say, this is the thing that like really has helped me get through, let's say, a difficult or a phase where you might be a little bit unsure of?
What would I say? I think the doc has helped us a lot. He's given us a couple like reassurance to say, if you don't feel well, you should come to me, speak to me about it. Or even if with my dad or my mum, they're like to me, if you don't feel too well about doing Ramadan during this month. Like you could speak to me, and I think it'll just help me push me through. Like every time I've had a chat with them, they'll be like, "No, listen, it's good to do it. It'll help you. It's beneficial. The rewards you get after it are beautiful. All this type of stuff." So just them motivating you and telling you to keep on going is like it's a big thing. I think so. It doesn't feel like you're fighting by yourself. I think you've got people behind you knowing that you could keep on pushing through.
Amazing. Also, I wanted to ask, what do you find is the difference between observing like Ramadan in like you mentioned Algeria versus the UK? Like what things do you like or dislike? Is there anything is there anything that you like? I guess like if you had a choice, would you be back and spending every Ramadan in Algeria?
Yeah, there's a massive difference. I think once you're in Algeria, everyone is fasting. It's like everyone's in that month, so that you could feel that vibe. But
Right.
I think in England, it's like not everyone is fasting. Like you'll see some people, I don't know, eating, drinking, whatever it is. But back in Algeria, everyone's in the same bubble, as in a way, like they all know what's going on. So it's just good to have a load of people around you doing the same thing.
Alhamdulillah. And in that sort of frame of thinking, like you mentioned bubble, like obviously you guys have like had to be in sort of a bubble in that sort of aspect in your clubs. How have you found that as a challenge? And how has I would want to, how has Ramadan helped with some of those challenges? Like has it helped, and how significant of a role has it played?
I don't think it was a challenge at all. I think everyone at the club is comfortable with each other. We find each other like as a family in a way. Like we could speak to each other, laugh, joke. Even if we got to speak seriously, it's a serious chat. I think everyone there it's a quite tight bubble there, so everyone's nice to each other. I don't think it's that bad at all.
And how have you like obviously you've gone through quite I imagine like quite a lot of the youth teams. How have you found like I imagine there would have been a challenge at each stage, and the challenges may have been different. How has like like could you say Ramadan has benefited you in any way to try and conquer some of those challenges? And I guess what advice would you give to maybe somebody that let's say is like a mini Faisal, who's somebody who's maybe starting? Like what would you say to yourself if you were 13-year-olds at the start of this journey, just to almost like give that extra bit of support or help?
I personally think Ramadan's one of the best things to happen. I think it humbles us in such a way that it's unbelievable. Like it'll humble you so much. I think you just gotta believe in your opportunity, not brag about it. I think you just gotta keep on going. Speak to Allah if you can, pray, wherever it is. I think you just gotta believe in yourself, and that's it. Really, it just humbles us a lot.
Alhamdulillah, like your humility is inspiring. May Allah continue to remain in that vein, and may Allah continue to help carry forward your career, inshallah. And I guess you guys are like quite important role models for the youth. And I think yesterday we had a discussion on how to empower the youth, and I think having active, positive role models like yourself who encourage the youth to like be patient, be humble, and stick to their principles and their faith to try and achieve, in spite of maybe some people may see Ramadan or fasting as something that might potentially hold us back, but actually you're taking the mental fortitude and resilience that Ramadan has given you. I'd like to point back to Brother Ilyas, like to be able to perform a better, in this holy month, I think speaks testament to actually what the holy month of Ramadan gives us. I think it makes us the best version of ourselves. And like that isn't just in the physical sense that might transpire on the football field. It is actually the best version of ourselves, be it as a son, as a brother, as a sister, maybe as a father, as an uncle, as somebody that plays an active role in the community. So Jazakallah khair for all of your insights and experiences. Inshallah, somebody somebody young that is watching this can benefit from that insight. I'd now like to Jazakallah khair for your time, Brother Faisal. I'd now like to bring in brother, Dr. Imtiaz, who's kindly joined, and the doctor, like you've had singing praises and endorsements from Faisal and Ilyas. I think firstly, obviously, thank you for joining. I just wanted to maybe ask you what were some of those sort of nuggets or those conversations that you were having with Ilyas and Faisal. You know, some of the things that they mentioned that you've been like, from my interpretation, it sounds like you've been a pillar of support for them. Could you share some of those nuggets with, you know, maybe some of us or anybody else that's watching, just in terms of, you know, what things can we do to you know, prepare ourselves for the holy month if we want to stay active? You know, how can we look after our bodies? You know, is there anything you could share in that aspect?
So, assalamu alaikum. Thank you very much for having me. So the first thing I'd say is both Ilyas and Faisal are very impressive young men. To be observing the month of Ramadan and also playing professional football isn't easy. For me, the beginning part of preparing is about communication and just finding out from the players about whether they want to fast or not. Remember, we've got two young men here who are fasting. There are many other Muslims who are professional athletes who choose not to fast, and that's fine as well, because it's not easy. So I know what we've heard from Ilyas and Faisal is the positive aspect, but there are some people that choose not to. So we have to respect, I believe, a personal choice. I think both of them made it really easy because they spoke to me beforehand. Ilyas actually approached me and said that he wants to be treated the same, and for me that was nice, and it opened opened the door to the conversation. And I spoke to him at length, and also to Faisal. What I also said was that it's important to speak to the manager themselves, and both of them wanted to do that, and they were keen to do that. We've got a structure where we have our manager. We've also got Les Ferdinand, who's our director of football. So we've got various people who are important within the club that I think is important just to let them know about their wishes. And I think what we all got back from those kinds of conversations was that everyone was fine and they respected it. Both Faisal and Ilyas, in terms of how they wanted to approach it, was that they didn't want to make it into a big deal. Other people wanted to talk about things. I've worked as Ilyas said, I've been around for years, and I've worked at other clubs, and some people want to talk about it a lot. Other people wanted just to keep it quiet and personal. So everyone is quite different. But at our club, people do know we're very open to talking about Ramadan, talking about fasting, and then really kind of answering questions about how we best prepare our players. What I felt was the right thing for these young men was to find out what they normally do, because it's very easy for me to say you must do this, you must do that, and kind of it goes through one ear and out of the other. But what I wanted to find out really was actually what worked for them, and what has worked for them successfully for many years. And it's wrong, I believe, to kind of change things massively. So if something's worked really well, it's wrong to change things massively. However, if something's worked for them for years, it doesn't mean that we can't improve on it. And so I wanted to get buy-in from both of them that actually, look, I know they've done it successfully in the past for them, but could we add a few things to kind of improve on it? And I think you probably highlighted or touched upon the main thing. The main thing is nutrition, right? And what they eat at suhoor and at iftar. Some people like to wake up in the morning at Fajr time and have a proper meal to eat. I know you'll know many friends who can do that. Other people hardly keep their eyes open at that time. And I think it's important for an athlete who's going to be fasting for 16 hours to wake up and to have something to eat. So I've worked with athletes before who have just eaten more at night time before they sleep, and then didn't want to wake up because they didn't want to interrupt their sleep, because sleep is also a very important factor, which I'll touch upon later. I encourage both Ilyas and Faisal to wake up half an hour before. I wanted to before the end of before the beginning of the fast time. And the kind of foods that you eat are things that are going to sustain you during the day. So things like cereals, brown bread, porridge. If there are some people who feel that they can eat more than that, and they can have eggs and toast and chicken at that time at that time of the morning. That's brilliant if they can. However, for those that don't, at least have a cereal, at least have bananas, at least have a yogurt there that can help them sustain during the day. And if you notice, some of the foods that I've mentioned are what in medical terms we call low glycemic index foods. So they'll kind of last as carbohydrates during the day, not like your sweets and kind of things that we have later on that are very kind of high glycemic index. They'll kind of work straight away. That they can have afterwards when they open their fast, and then have a break, and then try to eat something, a snack, before they sleep again. So nothing different from what most of us have worked out ourselves, but I think the importance of that plus hydration was really emphasized.
No, I absolutely agree. And then my next question, Doctor, was actually going to be about like hydration, like how, because again, you have, you know, some people may ask, you know, like it's more about actually what food you're eating. But for me, depending on obviously the activity that you're doing, if you're doing things like cardio or you know, things that are going to make you, you know, tired and perspirate quite a lot, you know, I think like how important would you say it's you know, how important is hydration almost versus the food that you're actually eating to try and make sure that we can, you know, last throughout the day, just in terms of like that you know, high performance context.
So yeah, you're right. It's really important. So we've got the after we've opened the fast from iftar right to say where potentially you can hydrate, and the advice would be we should try to get our 2.5 liters in during that time. It's easier said than done, but we try. So we talk about grazing after iftar. So maybe drinking 200 milliliters of fluids every half an hour. So therefore you continually do it. Now, of course, the downside to that is that you might want to get up in the middle of the night and go to the toilet. So you have to kind of time it as such that you get your sleep in as well. But our players are used to having water bottles around and kind of continually grazing on fluids. That I think is really important. In terms of the other point that you mentioned about activity and sweating. Of course, if you're going to do activity and you're not an elite sportsman, then I think you mentioned earlier doing it at around this time before iftar. In the hour before, because you know that soon you'll be able to rehydrate. And actually, we have so many people in our academy. We've got we did a presentation to our academy players, and there were 14 other players in our academy who are Muslims from the age of the under 12s all the way up to the under 23s who were fasting. And with Ilyas and Faisal as well, I thought to myself, actually, there's so many Muslims who are actually doing activity, and I hadn't done it for about 10 years myself. So I've started as well, just to see how it feels. So if you're a non-athlete or a non-professional, then at this time would be the best time. And of course, you've got to know that also if you feel unwell, if you feel dizzy, if you feel tired, then you should refrain or stop that activity. I had that chat with Ilyas and Faisal as well. I said, you know, if you do feel unwell, then of course I'm there to try to look after you. So if you're dizzy or feel sick, then I'd give you some sugar to kind of break the fast, and they were both fine with that. So just to let everyone know that we're trying to do things as medically safe as possible as well. But again, going back to the recreational athletes, I reckon around this time you should do it. Make sure that you're fasting not in the direct sun. Try to kind of look for areas of shade. For our athletes, we have cold water. We put water in towels in ice cold water, and we put them onto their necks and onto their faces. We give them water where they can rinse their mouths and spit out. That's just water. So just like when we're doing wudu, not anything with any sugary drinks or any caffeine. And that can refresh you as well. And there are studies to show that can actually help as well. So there are a few tips that can actually help if you're really keen to exercise while you're fasting.
Oh, thank you so much, Doctor. There was like you ran through so many in such a short space of time. Like I hope our social media team or like somebody scribbling all of these things down, because I think they will be of so much benefit to anybody that's listening. I myself agree with the water. Like I actually find the Tarawih is a great way for me to, like, you know, you talked about that grazing. It's almost like with hydrating, what I do is, like, you know, every time we finish 2 rakats, it's like, you know, you'll take on 100 100 ml, and then it's like open, close the bottle, open, close the bottle, and you just like you're going through that, and it's like by the time you've read the Tarawih, it's like, oh my God, I've managed to like take a whole liter of water, you know, and it's like you whereas, you know, when you're staring and looking at the thing, it's like, oh, how am I going to take that on? And I think, you know, all the advice of training is also well, and also like you touched upon just sort of listening to your body as well. I think that's such an important point. Like I myself has probably been guilty of, you know, not doing that. I think when we're a lot younger, probably you know, similar to brother Ilyas and Faisal, we sort of take that thing for granted, you know, like the almost like, you know, youth just being like, you know, you're almost indestructible. And I think, you know, as you get older, you do start to understand, it's like, you know, I can't be doing this every time. So like, alhamdulillah, like I've had the benefit of hosting these sessions for the last 3 days, so it's like that's actually been the only days that I've actually rested during Ramadan. So for me, it's just been a nice breather. And even though sometimes our bodies don't necessarily give us the signs that they might need a rest, but I think, you know, there's no harm in resting or listening, you know, to those things. So no, I think you know, all of those are really, really good practical things, and I hope that, you know, whoever is listening or does hear this afterwards can benefit from all that advice. Jazakallah khair, again, Doctor, for sharing. The other thing I wanted to ask you, Doctor, was like, what about so like brother Ilyas and Faisal mentioned, obviously, like, you know, you being a Muslim has been like great because of you've got that insight. So I was interested, what like are there in terms of your industry and other medical doctors around the other clubs that who are not of a non-Muslim faith, do they come to you with like questions around, you know, how best to deal with, you know, players that are Muslims at other football clubs that are fasting, in terms of advice? And like, you know, how have you found your network of you know, sort of medical professionals? You know, like is there a sharing of that sort of that information that you mentioned?
Yes, there is. So a close friend of mine is Dr. Zaf Iqbal, who's at Crystal Palace, and we train together and speak most days actually. And we're both co-chairmen of the FA Medical Society, where we host clinical meetings, and we've done that since 2010. And we hosted one on fasting in athletes, and we had the clinical updates like you'd expect in a medical meeting, but we also had athletes there talking just like you've got with Ilyas and Faisal. So we had Freddie Canute came and spoke over there, Sonny Bill Williams and Moeen Ali, and everyone was there to kind of give their own personal experience about fasting, and that did generate quite a lot of interest. And so people asked us subsequently with regards to tips and how we've kind of dealt with things. So we've tried to be proactive, and I mentioned, you asked about other clubs. I've even mentioned within our club, it's not just about the first team. Within the academy, you can see how many people there are. We called all of the players who are Muslims and their parents as well, because it's not just about, as you can see, when we're having iftar together, it's a family thing, isn't it? It's not just about the player in front of you. So we try to kind of engage them as well. And of course, with things like this, if word gets out, I'm always kind of contacted for advice, and very happy to give that to other fellow medics who are non-Muslim.
Thank you so much, Doc. Finally, I wanted to touch upon, obviously, like we've been in the midst of a pandemic and things like this. How important would you say, obviously, like physical activity is, you know, to obviously it benefits our physical health, but how important do you think it is for our mental health? And, you know, is there like would you recommend people that are fasting, even if they're not able to, you know, like, you know, go for jogs or whatever, like what sort of advice would you give to people that maybe aren't as physically capable, but to almost, you know, do you, like, is that going to give them, you know, benefit during the day to, you know, take like maybe half an hour or an hour out of their fast to go and perform that?
Yeah, massive benefits. It's one of the areas that I've got quite an interest in, and I think most of us who've done exercise, we do feel better, and it's not just the exercise one-to-one, but when you're doing it with people, you feel better as well, that social aspect. There's numerous studies that link exercise to kind of improved health, whether it's the big health areas like diabetes or cardiovascular disease or cancers, or other medical areas such as mental health and emotional well-being. So I think we can't underestimate the impact of that, and also not underestimate the impact of what people like Faisal and Ilyas have done in terms of carrying on working and playing football during a very difficult time for the whole country and the world in terms of the pandemic. So even watching football, being around it, being involved, people like talking about sport, and it does help with mental well-being. But certainly physical activity, as long as you do it safely and you follow some of the tips that I've mentioned in terms of during fasting, then I think it will certainly help your mental well-being.
Jazakallah khair, Doctor. I'd now like to open up to the floor just in terms of questions. I wanted to pose one from Shabana to all of you actually, if you could, and it was just like what things are you eating for iftar and suhoor? So I'll give the doc a break now. So I will ask Brother Ilyas first. What things are you eating for suhoor and iftar, brother?
So normally when I'm with my family, I eat my mom's food, and I will have like the traditional food that we eat for iftar. But because now I'm by myself and stuff like that, I will probably like have the chef cook me some good food, and it can like vary from day to day. So every day is something else, and I probably have some fruits, some smoothies. And that's it for me, man. I get very I get like I'm hungry all day, and then I eat like a little bit and I'm full, subhanallah. But yeah, that's me after like iftar. And then at suhoor I don't really eat that much, although the doc advised me to eat, and I do listen to him. I do get up and I'll probably get like porridge or something small, like he said, cereal, and loads of water, trying to get in like 2.5 liters to 3 liters of water in my body before I go to sleep. So and that's about it.
Jazakallah for sharing. Same question to you, Brother Faisal, if you could enlighten us.
Yeah, same for me. I'll have some traditional foods, my mom's food, maybe some soup. Break my fast with 3 dates. Have a soup, have some rice and chicken, maybe. Depends what she's cooked on the day. I mean, that's about it, to be honest. And I'll wake up for suhoor, maybe have some porridge, some toast, and just drink a lot of water. Every day is different, to be honest. Depends how I feel once I wake up.
No, I'm the same. I think like for me the doc pointed like it's water is like the it takes most of the space in our stomach, and it's like the only whatever's left you'll take. But generally speaking, I think I like the doc will probably confirm, but our stomachs tend to shrink during the month, so usually we can't eat as much as we normally would like to. Mm-hmm. So even like and that just kills our appetite. So it's just like you have a little bit to sustain yourself, and that's really it. So no, jazakallah for sharing. If I could unmute the next question we had was from Rayhan. I'm just going to unmute Rayhan. Rayhan, could you put your question to Brother Faisal and Ilyas?
Yeah. Salam. So I was wondering, so how do your non-Muslim teammates, like rest of the team, how do they respond to like you fasting during Ramadan if you tell them or if they know about it?
Well, they say they can't do it, and some of them did it with us. Some I had Luke Amos did the 3 first days with me. We broke fast together. So he's a Christian, so he obviously wanted to educate himself on what fasting really is, and then there are other players that just say like, no, I can't do it, I don't know how you do it, and then I just tell them it's a mental thing. So yeah, the teammates are quite good, to be fair. It's not bad.
And to you, Brother Faisal?
I think it's the same. Like, yes, I think you get a couple of them saying, not even water, not even a bit of water during the day, this and that. So
you
I
would
don't think
hope like the competitive element, like I get the vibe that like football is very, very competitive, so like they'll be like, oh, you know, Faisal and Ilyas are like, they're able to do this while not like eating or drinking, so like, you know, we have maybe this is a secret that we're missing out on, like I guess, you know, do they like say, oh yeah, we have to try and, you know, experiment and see, you know, what this is all about?
Yeah, like Ilya said, I think my body recovers much better during Ramadan. I think like after training, my legs will feel much better than when I'm not fasting.
Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. Thank you for sharing that that insight. I'd like to no, I mean, like I think it's really great that you guys are basically trying to facilitate. I think it's actually a form of dawah, right? Like, you know, you're actually trying to bring other non-Muslims to the religion by actually sharing in, you know, in that meal, and you know, that is something that we do at a grand scale. And like, inshallah khair, you know, next year, if things are a lot better, then we'd obviously like to have you, you know, come and join us for one of our iftar, you know, the family at QPR, and like feel free to invite as many as you know, as many as many of your teammates as you can bring, just to obviously show to try and experience some of the vibes that Brother Faisal, you know, talked about, because I think you know, it's when everyone's together, you know, you share that in the barakah and the blessings. So no, that's amazing. We've got and again, Sister Shabana, like on the chat, definitely agrees. We've got a question from the sister Hawadin. So if I can unmute you, Hawadin, to ask your question directly.
Hi, salam everyone. Thank you for coming all. Super inspiring. I didn't know that actually with the Ramadan you're performing very well. So usually I train as well during the week, but with the Ramadan I was like, okay, I'm gonna slow down, etc. But actually, just by hearing you, subhanAllah, you inspire me to come back to training because we've got training, and I was like, okay, maybe I should like think twice, etc. But yeah, mashallah. And I was wondering actually if you guys try to break fast together or like even like new teammates that they see how iftar is, kind of things. Did you try to share the Ramadan vibes as well, not in the pitch but outside the pitch when you break your fasts?
Yeah, like I said before, I'm by myself, so I try to get as many people as I can to my house. I have a chef cooking for me, alhamdulillah, so that he can give us enough food for, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 of us, it doesn't matter. So I try to do that as much as I can, because that is the best way to do it in Ramadan as well. So that's what I'm trying to do.
Nice.
And to you, bro, the same question to you, Brother Faisal.
I mean, Ilyas have broke fast with each other, I think, a couple times now. Once we've gone to away games, maybe not the best food, but I think the like you said, I think the vibes are still there. Like at least we could break fast with each other. That feeling of eating, I think it's nice.
Alhamdulillah, and I hope you also in like include an invitation to the doctor as well, because like, you know, I think he plays such an important part behind the scenes, you know, like you know, I feel like there should be like maybe you guys have like a one, you know, like even we could do like an RTP host maybe at the stadium, you know, we just have like all of QPR. I mean, I don't know if you guys could make that happen, but I know definitely we'd be keen to do something like that in the future, inshallah.
Inshallah, no problems. Should ask the doc. The doc is the big boss. Yeah.
You said I'm the boss, but you're the one with the chef. So
I wish I had a wife. Man.
No, but in all seriousness, we've been to away games together. We've had to open our fast during a game on the side of the game as well. We've had kickoffs during Ramadan at 12:30, 3 o'clock, 7 o'clock, and 7:45. So you can imagine, like, it just tests you in different ways throughout. So once again, it's really, really good work that these guys have done to kind of get through so far, mashallah.
No, that absolutely, and no, I think yeah, I think you know, hearing obviously Brother Ilyas and Faisal, I think the and the doctor as well, I think the attitude is like amazing, you know, to have that you know, bring to obviously have to share breaking the fast together. I think it was also an act of worship, and may Allah bless you guys for doing it. And like inshallah we can we can, like if the doc can ask some serious questions, inshallah we can have an event to try and make it happen next year, inshallah. So I leave that in the doctor's safe hands. I just conscious of time. I just want to, I know that we've got Andy and Charlotte from QPR Community Trust. So they're just a charitable arm of QPR. And Andy is actually the CEO of the trust, and Charlotte is the equality, diversity and inclusion lead for the trust. And they're just going to just invite us into the actual stadium itself. So I'd like to bring you guys in, if that's possible. Hi, Andy.
Hi everyone. Welcome to the Kai and Prince Foundation Stadium, home of Queen's Park Rangers here in West London. I hope you enjoyed the insight provided by our players and our club doctor. We're pitchside here, where both Ilyas and Faisal played just a few days ago. We've had a really positive season, and we're really looking forward to next season. And we're sat in the dugouts where the club doc sits and keeps his eye on the boys while they're out there performing. So we're so pleased to host this evening's call to prayer from the home of QPR.
Hi there. So Queen's Park Rangers Football Club is an extension of its community, and we're surrounded by people from all walks of life, races, faiths. And it's important that anyone who comes here or engages with us through our outreach programs, our community trust programs, is made to feel welcome and part of the QPR family. So finally, from myself and Andy to all, Ramadan Mubarak.
Thank you so much, guys. Just in the last couple of minutes before we do go to the live call of prayer in the stadium, I just wanted to thank the Dr. Imtiaz, brothers Faisal and Ilyas for sharing all their insights, and everybody else and the team at QPR for making this possible. I think everybody has benefited from just getting an insight into a day in your lives. So barakallahu feekum for making that happen. Obviously, please remember all of them in your du'as to inshallah, their careers continue to go forward, and may brother Ilyas also find a wife that could do the cooking for him as well, inshallah khair. We would also just like to remind everyone, obviously Ramadan is the month of charity and giving, so we want to encourage you to continue to support us and our work. Your support is vital to keeping these events like this to keep happening, and as obviously we transition to normality by helping us continue our iftars and sunnah fasts. So you can donate on our website at www.ramadantentproject.com or on our Launchgood page at www.launchgood.com/RTP 2021. I'd also, just before the adhan, I'd just like to invite everyone to our virtual iftar tomorrow, where the topic shall be faith in British society, inshallah khair. So I'll leave the last couple of minutes for just some reflection.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. أشهد أن لا
أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له اللهم البعيد وأتانا وصالح القائم لا تمحنا الوسيلة والدرجة الرفيعة وبعث اللهم
Thank you. Just like to reiterate, thank you to everyone for joining. I hope on behalf of obviously Ramadan 10 Project, I'd just like to thank Brother Ilyas, Brother Faisal, Dr. Imtiaz, and Andy, Charlotte, and the rest of the QPR family for making this happen. I think there were so many like nuggets of wisdom, and I hope that everyone did benefit from. I personally speaking, I did, and I hope our speakers also found the session enjoyable and fruitful. So on behalf of RTP, I'd just like to wish everyone a blessed Ramadan, and I'd leave you to enjoy your iftars, and yeah, we hope to see you again tomorrow, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.